friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie 0627. That in that neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. Another Friday, another time to get into one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious, what the is going on type of videos. And today, we are going back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Back to Tragedy Tales, y'all. And the title of the video is Poisoned Parents. 5 clips before horror. Number 16. Now I just gotta say this, man. I gotta say this, Bean Team. I think poisoning someone is one of the most evil ways that you can actually kill someone. You know what I'm saying? Because when you poison someone, more than likely, they gonna go through grueling, agonizing pain. They gonna be sick. You know what I'm saying? They gonna suffer a lot before they actually pass away. Like, I'm not saying that just shooting someone in the head and they just instantly die is any better. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong, Bean Team. But I'm just saying, man, just the fact that you know that this person is about to be suffering like hell and then they gonna end up dying is effed up. It's effed up. Long story short, short story long. But I digress. We gonna go and get into the video. But before we get into it, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. We are back to Ryan from Tragedy Tales. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
When something insane unfolds right in front of your eyes, if you can't immediately help the situation, it seems that the first instinct nowadays is to whack out your phone and record. But when you press that record button, nobody expects to capture a total nightmare, and certainly no one expects to capture a clip before horror. Yet it happens more than you'd think. And in this video, we're going to take a look at 5 more disturbing examples. From the man who took being laid off personally, to a chilling body cam confession that will churn your stomach. This week, we've got clips from all across the world that are bound to leave you speechless. So draw the curtains and strap in. Let's get right into it.
Get whatever you may need. Number 5.
Now this case recently popped up in the news, and while technically it's a body cam and not a clip before horror, the entire thing shocked me so much that I just had to include it. This horrifying entry begins, and I'll pronounce it correctly this time, in Chelmsford, Essex, in June of 2019. In Chelmsford, specifically on Pump Hill in Great Baddow, lived John and Lois McCulloch, as well as their youngest of 5 daughters, Virginia McCulloch. Virginia lived with her parents very happily in their family's semi-detached home on Pump Hill until June of 2019, when Lois and John mysteriously disappeared. Now the pair weren't reported missing or anything by family or friends. They just stopped showing up to doctor's appointments, stopped seeing friends and family, and stopped being seen outside. At home, the curtains remained closed, so nobody could see who was home. It was as if they both vanished. Now after their disappearance, their daughter Virginia continued about her day-to-day life, going out to the local area to buy groceries, and when people asked where John and Lois had gone, Virginia would just say that they'd gone on holiday, that they were ill, or had retired and moved from the area.
Like, it's just crazy that she can just lie through her teeth like that. You know what I'm saying? About her own parents, that she actually the one that's the cause of them dying. But no, she's sitting up here lying, talking about they going on vacation. Like, that's just sad. That's sad and effed up.
At the time people were asking this, it was during the COVID lockdown, so these excuses were believed at first. However, by late 2023, almost 4 years after they were last seen, these excuses didn't hold up anymore, and officials began to suspect that something was wrong. In September of 2023, John and Lois's doctor raised concerns for their welfare. Their daughter Virginia, as I said, had previously quelled these concerns with a range of excuses, but when they got really ridiculous, their GP contacted the police for a welfare check. On September the 3rd, 2023, the police finally began investigating John and Lois's disappearances. At first, they treated it as a missing persons case, but when Virginia told police that her parents were travelling and would return in a month, they started to get suspicious. This brings us to the horrific footage in question. On Friday, September the 15th, 2023, the police arrived at their family home, and what they discovered inside would shock everyone. They bashed the back door in, and inside they found Virginia stood in the hallway. Tasers were drawn, and here she instantly spilt the horrific, grisly truth.
No one in here at the moment. Hold on. The police. Got it. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Show your hands. You there?
Jenny?
Yep.
Jenny? Oh. The time is 12:12. You're under arrest on suspicion of murder against Jonathan McCulloch and Elias McCulloch.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't have to say anything, but it may come in defence. If you do not
No, I just
mention
take my cover.
when in question, so much like just want anything to do something with your business. Okay? Alright, your arrest is necessary
I'll
for a
cooperate.
prompt and effective.
Is there anything in the pocket we should know about?
Yes, there
Where?
is. Can I take you to it?
No, you can tell me.
Can you go in there for a second, just so I can tell you something about what's in there?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then,
You must tell us
the only
something
reason
about
I said I need to tell you something about what's upstairs on the top floor as well.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Is it here? Yes, mind your feet, so obviously we
Yeah,
can pick it
honestly,
up.
I'm not that dangerous.
No, it's fine.
I know, but obviously I've got to be careful. My dad's body's in there.
Right, okay.
Yep, okay. Obviously I'll
What about
say,
your mum?
a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
That's why I said, can I go upstairs and show
Right,
you?
can you
If
explain
wanna
it to us,
bring
please? Because
officers,
we're trying to preserve this. It's now going to be seen, so we need to preserve this the best we can. So I don't want you to have you walking up there, all right? Because that's for your well-being as well as ours.
Oh, no, up.
Okay. So what?
Thank you.
Where
Can I grab
will
some
we find
hairbands
your mum?
as well, if possible?
Where will we find your mum?
Okay, so upstairs there are about 5 wardrobes.
Yep.
It's behind the bed, but back next to the sink. It's the second one. I slipped 5 of those into his drink. There were about 2 or 3 drinks that I brought downstairs. And yeah, they were basically, he didn't drink all of them. He only drank probably about half of 2. But yeah, when I went in the morning, this was before my mother. When I went in the morning, early hours, I got up about half an hour early, about 6 o'clock in the morning. Came in and he was gone. He was gone.
Okay.
It's
It's up to you if you want to talk.
yeah.
But the thing is, purpose of your arrest is for a prompt, effective investigation as well as by questioning you. We can't do that here. It needs to be done at a police station, all right?
Man, Bean Team, I got so much to say about this, but I'm gonna just try to sum it up, rise it real quick. Long story short, story long, just a couple of points. Number one, I did not even expect for the bodies to actually still be in the house. You know what I'm saying, man? That kind of like shocked me. But then take that to another level, Bean Team. I feel like murderers who kill people and then could actually live inside the same house that their dead bodies are in. Like, they another level of murderers. You know what I'm saying? All murderers are equal as far as like being evil or horrible or whatever word, but there is layers to it at the same time, man. Like, just the fact that she was living in that house that long with her freaking parents that she done stored away. You know what I'm saying? That actually did that. The fact that it's your parents. Another thing that's just crazy, man. These your actual freaking parents. Another thing that's crazy, y'all. And I'm sitting right here looking like, how in the freak did the freaking, I ain't gonna even say that. I'm gonna say it now. I'm here. How in the freak did the house not smell? Like, how she kept the house from smelling? How was she able to even live in the house on her own? And even when the police came in, they didn't really make no remarks about smelling some ish. I don't know. Maybe the body's haven't decomposed. I don't know about that part, man. Maybe I'm getting that a little confused. But this one here, like, dude, what in the freaking freak? Are you serious, man? I was not expecting it to go like this. And then the way she just, like, she was one of the ones where I feel like she knew eventually she was going to get caught. She was just trying to hold on as long as she could, you know what I'm saying, without getting caught. But eventually she knew she was going to get caught because the way she just came out and just told them, just gave them all the details, wasn't even trying to hide it no more. It's almost like she had it in her brain that one day I'm going to have to explain this and this what I'm going to tell the police. Like, she already had acted that scene out that we just seen in her brain before. Now let me shut up and let's go.
She said that she had poisoned John and Lois by lacing their tea with a cocktail of prescription drugs on the 17th of June, 2019, approximately 4 years and 2 months ago.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, how in the freak was that house not smelling? At that point, I feel like you'll smell them bodies from the outside. Unless she done wrapped them up in something. I don't know. Let's go.
She said that her dad had consumed enough of the toxic drink and he was found dead the following day. But her mother Lois was still alive. Fearing that she'd find out what Virginia had done, she crept into her room in the morning, and while she was listening to the radio in bed, she pummeled her in the head multiple times with a hammer, in her own words, like someone badly playing a xylophone. When she found that this wasn't killing her mother fast enough, she then stabbed her to finish the job. Then, in a shocking turn of events, Virginia then got in her car, drove to a local shop, and purchased a pair of plastic gloves and a couple of sleeping bags using her father's credit card, before returning to the home where she set about concealing both of their remains. All at home, Virginia had created a makeshift mausoleum using breeze blocks and blankets and hid her dad's body in the ground floor bedroom. This tomb can even be seen on the body cam.
That's crazy.
After entombing her father, Virginia then went upstairs and wrapped her dead mum in a sleeping bag before stashing her behind sleeping bags and duvets in an upstairs wardrobe. She then hid the various murder weapons around the house and went about her life as if nothing had happened.
I did know that this would kind of come eventually. It's proper that I serve my punishment. So, yeah.
You see what I'm saying, man? You see how she like, I gotta face my punishment. You know what I'm saying? It's like she knew that one day it was gonna run out, man. She already had this scene happen in her head beforehand.
Okay, so Virginia, I'm just going to ask you this. This is what I've written down based on the information you just told us, because what we regard as a significant comment, because you've made it under caution after your arrest.
By the way, you're part of, they're my granddad's.
Okay, right. So I've written this, please. I, Virginia McCulloch, have informed Police Constables 77329 Brown and 79387 Bowers after entering my house on Friday the 15th September 2023 that I murdered my father, John McCulloch, who was stated was under a bed in the rear ground floor of the house, and my mother upstairs in a cupboard next to the sink.
Wardrobe. It's a double wardrobe.
Right, okay, I've written
Double
cupboard.
wardrobe. It's like 4 wardrobes, but it's the one nearest the sink. Double wardrobe.
Pick up then.
Yeah.
What's significant as I've written down here now, or I've just read out to you, are you happy to sign that, to say that's a true account?
Yeah. Cheer up, at least you caught the bad guy.
I'm just waking up today and done my job. No.
I know I don't seem
Not a lot.
100% evil, but we all, yeah,
I'm not going to comment on anything. It's not my job to comment on it, okay? Because I've got to be impartial with everything, okay? So I'm not going to give any comment.
No, well, I mean, I deserve to obviously get whatever's coming sentence-wise, because that's the right thing to do. And that might give me a bit of peace. Also in the handbag as well, there's and again, because you're probably going to need to know about it, there's a card in there, card one money, and that's a bank card where there's a lot of transactions that have taken place over the last few years from money that pertains to my parents.
She confessed all of this in great detail to the officers, even signing away that she'd said it on a notepad at the scene. She seemed insanely calm for what she was describing. It's like she had got used to the reality of what she'd done. She said that she was half expecting this to happen someday, and when officers were clearly shocked at what she was saying, she told officers to cheer up and that they caught the bad guy now. Virginia was swiftly arrested for her parents' murders and taken to the local police station, where here, further body cam shows Virginia guide officers to the still bloody murder weapon, all while crocodile tears are flowing.
So, murder weapon is upstairs in the toilet room, kitchen knife, it's in the middle of the brown carpet, against the wall, opposite the shelves, so there are two long white shelves, so opposite where that wall is, that's where the knife is. So next bit is very hard to talk about. That's probably the most grisly detail. So on the ground floor, underneath the stairs, there's a few like storage boxes and things. And in the middle, I think it's in one of the boxes or in a bag or something. If you want me to shush after this, it's fine. But every bit helps. You will find forensic bits helpful. There's a hammer. I know, but I'm trying to help so you find everything. It's in the middle, underneath the stairs. It will still have blood on it. It's rusted, but it will still have blood traces on it. So not cooperating is futile.
Yeah.
There's no point in not cooperating. There really isn't. And plus, apart from it anyway, I should take what has come. That's the result of the point, I think. So, yeah.
I just want to point out, y'all, this lady don't give a damn that she murdered her parents. Like, she ain't got no remorse for it. She don't really care that, like, she is numb to this situation at this point. Got to keep in mind that it happened in 2019. They caught her in 2023. You know what I'm saying, man? She been in the house living with this for freaking 4 damn years plus, man. She really desensitized to this whole situation. I don't think she, like Ryan said, those crocodile tears, man. She don't really care like that. And I feel like, and I think she kind of alluded to it. She more relieved than anything that she finally got caught. And let me just go and throw this out there while it's back on my mind, y'all. Ryan said that this lady, was the youngest of 5 children. Where in the freak the other 4 children at? I wish Ryan would give us some type of detail on that. Where are the other children that haven't looked for their parents in 4 years? I don't know. Was they just going off her word? That's the crazy part of this story too. But like I said, man, she don't care that she did this at all.
I bet you've got so many questions here. How did no one notice? And why would she do this? Well, documents recovered inside the property painted a picture of a woman desperately trying to keep her parents from discovering a financial black hole that she had dug after spiraling into debt. She told her parents that she'd lost money due to weird scams online and even forged letters from the bank to prove it to them when in fact, she had just squandered the money gambling. To Lois and John, Virginia was the perfect idol daughter. They both believed that she was a well-qualified individual and was working hard to become an artist, even telling them both that once she got big and famous, that they would both be rich from her work. But this was all a front. Virginia was nothing of what she told her parents that she was. By the time of the murders, she was unemployed and had built up £60,000 worth of debt. She repeatedly lied to her parents, saying that she did have a job. Her entire existence was a lie. Over the years that she'd lived with her parents, she reaped the financial rewards of manipulating them and taking advantage of their kindness. She'd been living there rent-free, spending her parents' money, and when things got really bad financially, she lost the plot and killed them both in horrific ways. She stashed their bodies and continued to live in the house alongside them, all while claiming their pensions for 4 years.
Crazy.
For those 4 years after their deaths, their bodies decomposed in the downstairs bedroom and the upstairs bedroom. It must have stunk so bad. But yeah, no one knew, no one caught on. Meanwhile, Virginia had continued to frequent supermarkets and local grocery stores that her parents had visited while they were alive. She even joked to staff that the police were after her and that they think I've killed my parents. So she was even joking to people that she'd done this. Absolutely abhorrent. Now then I wondered, how did no one find out about this? How did the siblings not discover sooner? Well, it was
That's what I was asking earlier.
revealed in court that Virginia had also deceived relatives by sending birthday cards, gifts, and even personalized text messages that kept up the pretense that they were both still alive. All while continuing to use their parents' credit cards to spend their hard-earned pension, racking up debts in their name, splurging £21,000 on gambling after their deaths. In total, over the 4 years after the murders, Virginia profited around £150,000 from spending on their credit card, claiming their pension, and selling things from inside the property. Now this shocked the local community, the whole of the UK, and I'm sure it will shock the world.
Yeah.
Virginia was held in custody until her trial of July the 4th, 2024. When she appeared in court, she did not look up from the floor and stared at the ground emotionless. It was only when she listened back to the interview with police, where she described her mother's murder, that she began to weep. One of the police officers from Essex Police that arrested her said her otherwise composed reaction in court was typical of the considered, meticulous murderer that she was. He said that Virginia had lied about almost every aspect in her life, maintaining a charade to deceive everyone close to her. He finished his statement saying that Virginia is an intelligent and adept manipulator who chose to kill her parents callously and without a thought for them or those who continue to suffer as a result of their loss. The judge who sentenced Virginia said that she had elaborately planned and then maintained this horrific web of deceit for over 4 years. To accomplish this, it would have involved a substantial degree of both premeditation and planning. During her trial, it was revealed that Virginia had tested the drugs on her parents in the days leading up to the murders, using her dad as a guinea pig. She'd lied to family, friends, doctors, police, and in 2019, she had gone out of her way over a period of 3 months to accumulate a large amount of prescription drugs. In May 2019, she even purchased the kitchen knife that she'd used to kill her mother. She'd bought it as a failsafe just in case the drugs didn't work. She'd also bought tools to crush and separate the tablets, showing clear planning and premeditation. The judge said that Virginia thought more about money than she did about humanity.
Exactly.
After pleading guilty to 2 counts of murder, Virginia was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 36 years. The family home in Chelmsford was boarded up with metal and left to rot, an ominous reminder of what true horrors occurred inside. Now this is sick on so many levels. How could she possibly live with the 2 corpses of her parents for 4 years?
How?
It's unbelievable. It's absolutely sickening stuff. As always, I'm interested in your thoughts below.
I already gave y'all a lot of my thoughts, and that was one of the first things I pointed out that Ryan just left us with. How in the freak could you live with freaking bodies? Like I said, y'all, it's like layers to these murderers, man. And someone who can murder people then live in the house with their bodies in there, like, no, man. Then he even pointed out the smell, because that was another thing I was bringing up. And like I said, man, I done put a lot of my points out there. I just want to leave y'all with 2 more points. My fault, my brothers and sisters. I literally got a phone call, y'all, while I was going on my last rant about this first clip that we seen before horror. But like I said, man, my final 2 statements about it, my final 2 points is just the fact that they were so old, man. Y'all know how I feel about children being murdered and senior citizens, man. Like, it hit differently to me. It hit differently. And the second point is, I'm just glad she got life in prison. Long story short, story long. At least she got freaking life in prison from that. That was freaking crazy to start it off, y'all. But guess what? We still got 4 more to go. So let's go. Number 4.
This frankly ridiculous entry begins on the 9th of August 2024 in the beautiful country of Argentina, Rosario. On that fateful summer's day in Rosario, life buzzed with the energy of workers and locals, blissfully unaware of the chaos that was soon to unfold. On the morning of August the 9th, a 46-year-old man named Juan Manuel Medina finally snapped. In the previous months, just due to budget cuts, Juan had been laid off from his job at the Air Liquid Facilities factory in Rosario. This factory supplies tanks of oxygen, nitrogen, and hydrogen for industry use, and while the layoff wasn't personal, Juan definitely took it personally. On the morning of August the 9th, Juan went to the local Rosario Aero Club and rented a Cessna 150 aircraft that was primarily used for flight training and personal use. As Juan was an active pilot and a respected and active member of the Aero Club, nobody suspected anything out of the ordinary as he did the preliminary checks on the runway. However, before renting the plane, Juan had made 2 cryptic posts on the work WhatsApp group, the first being the Nagasaki mushroom cloud, a very famous World War II photo, followed by a selfie with the caption in Spanish that read, "To the big liars." At 11:30, Juan took off from the Aero Club and began soaring into the sky.
Is Juan going on a suicide mission right now? Well, his last messages on that social media account would lead you to believe that.
But not for long. Around noon, witnesses said that they saw the plane flying very strangely and circling the area of his former workplace. And then this terrifying footage was captured. A worker at the factory captured this video in the warehouse grounds. You can see that they're stood in the outhouse of the warehouse, and in the air you can see the 2-seater Cessna barreling towards the Air Liquid Facility factory. Within just a blink of an eye, the plane dropped out of the sky and impacted with the building, slamming right into a concrete column with an almighty bang. After crashing into the building, the plane came to a stop and no explosion occurred. Amazingly, Juan had narrowly avoided the highly flammable and explosive containers littered around.
And that's what he was aiming for. I bet he was aiming. The first time I seen them containers, I'm like, dude, finna crash right directly into them.
It was clear what Juan was trying to do here. He was trying to cause a chain reaction that would bring down the entire factory, killing anyone who was inside or nearby. Fire engines rushed to the scene, and Juan was dead in the cockpit, but amazingly no one else had been injured in this whole ordeal. They put out the small fires that he'd caused and prevented any further damage. The footage shocked the locals and even reached international news. The police believe all the signs pointed towards this being intentional.
Yeah.
While Juan had his pilot's license, he had no permission to fly it over the city where he was. He said nothing to the Aero Club that day. One man's thirst for revenge almost cost many more people their lives, but thankfully he was unsuccessful. But it's tragic that it even got this far in the first place.
Yeah, it's like that's just an effed up situation. It's like, one, man, okay, I understand you mad at your job or whoever you're mad at, but bro, you literally trying to bring innocent people into this thing that you mad at. You know what I'm saying? You trying to take this out on innocent people. Not even take it out on them, take their lives. You know what I'm saying, man? If he would have crashed into where all them gases or petrol or petroleum, gasoline, whatever, them canisters, y'all, if he would have crashed into that would have just blew it the freak up. Oh man, I guess I should say rest in peace to him, but he had some evil intentions. You know what I'm saying? He was actually trying to murder people, so I don't know if I feel comfortable saying that. I don't know. Let's go to number 3. Number 3.
Now, this downright terrible entry unfolded on the 3rd of October 2024 in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Africa. That day, the sun was shining, the wind was calm. It seemed like the perfect weather for a ferry across Lake Kivu. Lake Kivu is the 6th largest lake in Africa and lies on the border of the Republic of Congo and Rwanda. Now, this lake is very important because roads alongside the lake are overrun by rebel fighters, meaning that locals and workers are forced to take ferries across the lake to get home or to get to where they're going. These boats, or these ferries, are often poorly maintained and highly overloaded. But sadly, there's often just no other choice. On the 3rd of October, a ferry set sail with approximately 278 passengers travelling from the town of Minova to Goma, a short trip across Lake Kivu. Now, these towns are connected by a road, but as I said, rebel fighters have overrun them, so locals are forced to use the boat. Now, this ferry that set sail that day was only built for 30 passengers. At the time of its voyage, it was carrying almost 10 times that amount. Now, despite this, however, despite the boat being completely overrun with people, the journey seemed to be smooth until they came to dock. Strong waves suddenly began crashing against the overloaded boat, and people inside noticed water begin to flood in.
No,
now, this is when the horrifying footage was captured. It was captured by friends and family on Goma's shore as the ferry came into dock.
Like, look at that freaking boat, man. Look how weighed down it is, y'all. Like, you can literally see all those people on there is weighing the freaking thing down. Like, oh my God, it's supposed to be 30 and it's like 200 and something. Like, come on, man. I can understand if you're trying to bend the rules a little bit and add 60 people, you double it. But to do 10 times the amount of weight, that's just a tragedy tale waiting to happen.
On video, you can see that this double-decker vessel is extremely overloaded, and all on video, just a few hundred meters from land, the boat began to tilt. In seconds, it got worse and worse. Some people managed to jump out, but seconds later, the entire ship capsized.
Like, that shit so scary to look at, man. I ain't even lying, y'all. Like, that is so scary because I was just looking at it, just imagining if I was on that freaking boat. Man, I don't even think I'll survive no ish like that because I know how to swim, man, but I know how to swim in freaking 6 feet, 12 feet water. You know what I'm saying? I know how to swim in a swimming pool. Just put it like that. I don't know how to swim in no damn ocean. I'm going to get tired at some point. I don't know, man. That's just scary as freak to look at. And then just trying to put yourself in that situation. Jesus.
Now, most of the passengers in these incidents sadly cannot swim. Lake Kivu is deep, and also none of them were wearing life jackets. If you couldn't swim and had nothing to grab onto, sadly, despite being this close to land, this was a death sentence for most. Passengers that were thrown into the water were hit by the turbulent currents and swept away. But for some passengers, the boat became a deadly death trap as many became trapped inside. Total horror unfolded as rescue teams tried to help those in need, but soon bodies began washing up in their dozens. Friends and families that were waiting at the dock were forced to watch in agony completely helpless to the situation. They were there to greet loved ones, but instead they were forced to sift through the dead pulled from the lake. Those who were injured were taken to the local hospital, but some people, including children, succumbed to their injuries later that day. The police cordoned off the area to identify the dead. The boat was dragged from the water, but many still remain missing. In total, 78 people lost their lives here, several of which were children. Tragically, this is the third time this year that boats have capsized on Lake Kivu, leading to mass casualties. This caused yet more shock and grief to the local communities. I'm sure most of these people wouldn't have taken that boat if they had the choice. The greedy people who owned and were driving these ferries almost certainly knew that they shouldn't have been doing this. They must have known that passengers had no other option. They knew that they were overloading the boats. Sadly for 78 people, a short journey across the lake cost them their lives.
Yeah, and it's like, man, they knew they was gonna end up bad, and they still end up doing it. Like, come on, man, y'all thought 200? I'm stuck on that. The capacity was 30, and you think 200 people is okay? Like, I feel like you just taking it a little too far with that, man. Rest in peace to all 87 of those people that lost their lives there, y'all. And it's kids and stuff on there. Some of them got trapped under the boat. It's just, oh my God. Then thinking about the people who actually, because they was real close to land. They got a lot of family members and friends hoping and, thinking they family finna come on the land. And then later on, they end up getting washed up on the land, deceased. That is just a tragedy tale. Let's go to number 2. Number 2.
I say this in my videos quite often, but life can be taken in an instant. It can be snatched away when you least expect it, on a day where you least expect it. Sadly, this tragic story is a perfect example of that. With that in mind, this footage was recorded on September the 27th, 2024, in the capital of Georgia, Tbilisi. On the night of September the 27th, 24-year-old Irina Glazunova was out with her friend in town, sharing a few drinks and having fun. This is when she decided that she'd record a TikTok video for her social media. The haunting footage starts, and it shows 24-year-old Irina confidently dancing to the Russian boy band Hunger Boys song For the Last Time. The name being an eerie coincidence, foreshadowing what was about to happen.
Yeah, that's very freaking eerie that was what she was listening to for the last time.
All on video, Irina can be seen looking at the phone, walking down the street without actually looking where she was going. She was singing and having a good time. The phone is passed to her friend and then back again. Unfortunately, as she is recording her friend, she captures her shocked reaction as Irina stumbled headfirst over a small wall into an underground metro overpass entrance, falling head first.
Oh!
Irina's panic screams can be briefly heard in the clip before it cuts to black. Sadly, Irina had fallen headfirst down this hole and tumbled all the way to the bottom. Her friend immediately dialed emergency services, and despite them rushing her to hospital, unfortunately nothing could be done to save her life, and she died later that day due to severe head injuries and a broken neck. Social media users have expressed their absolute shock at this tragedy, with several commenting on the safety of the entrance to the underground station. All they have is around a 2 to 3 feet wall on the ground, which surely just going to trip anyone who's not looking where they're going. And in this case, this is exactly what happened. In the UK, there would be a barrier to stop people from falling in, not just a tiny wall that actually trips users into their death. It's wild that it's allowed to be built like this in the first place.
Like, exactly, man. I feel like her family should sue the city, man. Like, I feel like her family need to get some money for her death, man. As y'all already know, as I always say, it ain't gonna bring her back. It's not gonna make it any better in that way. But still, man, seriously, they need to be sued. And most definitely, put up some railings, man. Like, come on, man. What are we doing? This is like logical, simple thinking. Have some railings up around entrances to subways and stuff. What are you doing?
At the bottom of the stairs in Tbilisi, where the tragic incident took place, locals laid flowers to pay respects to Irina. But next time you decide to record a TikTok in public, look where you're going, because this was needlessly tragic.
Yeah, I agree. We gotta be aware of our surroundings, man. But it's just crazy watching her like sing that song, and the song is so crazy that it's called What? This is the Last Time or something like that. And just the way she was so happy, like she was full of energy at that point. You know what I'm saying, man? She was vibing, she was living life, like living it. And just a couple of seconds later, it all changed, and then she ended up dying in the hospital. Rest in peace to her though, man. Let's go to number one. Number one.
On the afternoon of Friday, May the 31st, 2024, northern Italy seemed to catch a break from weeks of storms. The heavy rains that had drenched the region suddenly paused, allowing the sun to draw people to the Natisoni River, located in Primariaco. 3 people who decided that it would be a fun idea to visit the river that day was 20-year-old Patrizia Kormos, her 23-year-old friend Bianca Doros, along with her 25-year-old boyfriend Christian Molnar. 2 of the group were from Romania, and Patrizia, a student at the Fine Arts University in Udine, had asked her mother if she could go on the trip with her 2 friends after finishing her exams. That day, despite looking like it had cleared up, there was in fact a weather warning for heavy rain and a danger for strong thunderstorms. Her mum warned her not to go near the river, but Patrizia told her mum not to worry and not to be angry. Now, they didn't know this at the time, but that day they had planned to go to a part of the river that is usually out of bounds as it floods very easily. But this is something that the group was unaware of. Ignoring her mother's warning, the group approached the riverbank with laughter and excitement, arriving at around 1 p.m. As the trio walked along the dry riverbed, focused on taking selfies, the atmosphere suddenly shifted. Dark, ominous clouds began to gather above. It began to trickle with rain, and this trickle soon became a downpour. Just days before, storms had swelled the river significantly, and apparently locals were well aware of how quickly the river can change, but sadly, the group were totally unaware and caught off guard. Within literally minutes of the rain starting, the river began to swell and flood. The dry ground beneath their feet soon became a raging torrent of water. The water level rised rapidly. All they could do was hold on to each other for safety. Patrizia, Bianca and Christian soon found themselves stranded on a small pebble island, sadly just a few meters from the shore, just a few meters from total safety. At this point, they could have chosen to wade through the chest-deep water and try to escape, but the 3 of them chose not to. Panic gripped them as the current surged around. They hesitated.
And the thing about it is, y'all, they wait too long. It seemed like that little area that they own, them little pebbles that they own, is going to end up getting covered up by that freaking water.
And within just a minute, it was now too late for them to escape. Realizing that they were now completely trapped, in a moment of desperation, one of the girls called for help. They were told to hold on to each other as a group and plant their feet to avoid being swept away. Just due to where they were, firefighters took 25 minutes to get to them, and by the time they had arrived, it was almost too late. Positioned from a nearby bridge, one firefighter shouted instructions, urging the group to stay together and hold on to one another. The firefighters, stood just 7 meters away from the group, were forced to watch in horror as the overwhelming force of the flood washed away the 3 friends. Firefighters made a last-ditch attempt downstream to catch the group using a crane and lowering a rope. They threw it down, And as they floated by, horrifyingly, none of them could catch a grip, and they were enveloped by the water.
Called by local residents, the fire brigade attempted to rescue them with a rope from a crane.
Prendi la corda!
But were unsuccessful. Early Friday, the group were reported missing. The incident occurred in the village of Premariaco in northern Italy, which was on yellow alert for flooding. The part of the Natisone River that is off limits because it is known to flood seemed calm when they arrived, but they found themselves trapped within minutes.
Within an instant, the water swept them away, and just like that, they were gone. Absolutely heartbreaking stuff. They had no idea what they were wading into. In the following days, a massive search operation ensued, involving drones, boats, and divers, all scouring the river for any signs, but nothing was found. The community rallied together and worked as a team to search for any clue, hoping for a miracle that they were still alive. Eventually, a handbag was discovered, still containing the mobile phone that they used to call for help. The search and rescue continued, and on the 3rd of June, Patrizia and Bianca were found. They were found just a kilometre away from where the horrible footage was captured. And 20 days later, on the 23rd of June 2024, Christian was finally recovered, bringing a tragic close to this heartbreaking ordeal.
Yeah, it's a closure, man. It is closure for the family. I'm glad all their bodies was found, but it got to the point where you knew that they had been deceased, you know what I'm saying, man, but you still wanted to at least find their bodies. But just watching that clip, y'all, even though I knew they weren't gonna grab on to that crane, I'm still hoping in my heart of hearts that they would have grabbed on. You know what I'm saying?
Afterwards, one rescuer said that only a stretch of a couple of meters of water separated them from the bank. The rescuer added that they would have had the opportunity to escape and save themselves, but they were in such a panic that this opportunity was missed. The loss of Patrizia, Bianca, and Christian is a tragic reminder of how swift a normal day can turn into one of sorrow. But that is the end of the video. May everyone featured rest in peace. Now I say this in literally every one of my videos now, but this video was crazy. Just when you think you can't be shocked by anything, I find cases like this. I honestly can't believe the first entry. Virginia murdering her parents, then living next to the bodies for 4 years, meanwhile telling friends and family that they'd gone on holiday or they'd moved away, is absolutely sickening. It's really some kind of horror movie type shiz. Personally, for me, one of the worst parts about this case is the fact that she sent text messages and Christmas cards to deceive her family. How shocking is that? The body cam footage is definitely nightmare fuel, and seeing the makeshift crypt in the background is wild. I'm really glad that she's going to spend the majority of the rest of her life in prison, because what kind of maniac is capable of doing something like this? Next, we've got Juan, who crashed a plane into his former workplace. That clip is not something you see every day. It's a bloody miracle that nobody else was injured. Then we've got the ferry that capsized in Africa. That whole ordeal is awfully tragic, as the passengers genuinely probably had no other choice other than to take the boat to get home. And sadly, 78 people paid the ultimate price for this. Next up, we've got Irina, who tragically stumbled while recording a TikTok in Georgia. That footage is a shocking reminder to pay attention when you're out and about. Don't just be looking at your phone if you're walking in the street, especially if you're not familiar with the area. However, the stairs with the tiny wall above it is seriously a death trap. While researching this, I read a comment on Reddit that said this kind of infrastructure is illegal in the UK, so I wonder how many others have fallen and died in this exact same spot. And last, but certainly not least, the group of 3 that found themselves trapped in a storm in the middle of a surging river is ridiculously horrifying and tragic. All 3 of them failed to heed storm warnings that day, and instead chose to wander to their own doom. As they were all fairly young, it's obvious that they just didn't know any better, and it's tragic that this mistake cost them their lives. What's worse is, according to witnesses, they were really close to the shore. Some people wondered why they didn't even attempt to get to shore, while others have stated that the river would have been way too fast at this point in time anyway, and they would have all been swept away. To me, it's worth a try, isn't it? But, as always, I'm interested in all of your opinions below. You guys know I try to read each and every one, so do let me know what you thought. But just before I go, if you look down there and you're not subscribed, go ahead and destroy that sub button now, and make sure you tickle that notification bell to be alerted when I release content such as this. But I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Another crazy tragedy tales being team. Man, like Ryan said, I be saying it a lot in my videos too, man. These videos be freaking crazy, but hey, it is what it is. It just the long story short story long version of what these videos are, man. We gonna run through them real quick too, y'all, just like Ryan did, so I can give my last closing statements on all of them, so to speak, or whatever. And we'll start from the last one we saw, which was number 1. Those 3 people, young, beautiful people, man. It was just so effed up watching that footage of them, like, because they had a chance, and Ryan said it was worth taking that chance to, when the pebble, before it all got covered up with water or whatever, they had a chance to get up out of there, but they decided not to take that chance. But it's just so sad seeing all of it play out, and then it was not a good ending. It was the worst ending that could possibly happen. They end up getting swept by the current, and I was thinking for a second, I was looking like, man, I'm sure glad all 3 of them there. I'm happy that all 3 of them is holding each other, because it's more weight, so the current ain't gonna be able to move them. The current still end up sweeping them downstream, y'all. Then seeing the scene where the people telling them, hey, grab the crane, and none of them grabbed it, man. Like I said, at least their bodies was found, and so they family can at least have that closure. But rest in peace to them. And one before that, the girl who fell up into the subway entrance thingy. I don't even know what it was called or whatever. But long story short, story long, man. Her family needs some money. Her family needs to be suing them people, and we need rails up. Like, that should be against the law. Like Ryan said, somebody said in the UK on Reddit that is against the law. It need to be against the law in the whole world, man. Have railings up, man. It was just so crazy watching her vibe to her music. You know what I'm saying? She was just living her best life. She was in her zone in that moment. You know how we have all been there, being team, where we listening to our music, we all into it. Can you imagine being all into your favorite freaking song, singing or rapping it or whatever, dancing, and then the next thing you know, you fall into your freaking death? Even though she passed away in the hospital, but still, man, it was what caused her death. Can you imagine that? Freaking tragedy tale, man. Rest in peace to her. The one before that, the freaking ship. There's just too many people on that ship, man. Oh man, I feel like a lot of them people felt like they had to get on that ship. You know what I'm saying? It was their way to get back home or whatever. They probably ain't feel like they had no other chances. Probably ain't had the money to do it another way. Whatever may have you, man. But Jesus, man, they were so overcapacitated. Like, it was just way over the capacity. And then it's like watching the scene of that ship, like, just being weighed down like 4 flats on a Cadillac. You know what I'm saying, man? Just weighed the freak down. And then it just toppled over. And then just thinking about the family and friends that actually had to watch them get toppled over. Another tragedy tale, y'all. The one before that, the plane crash. The dude, now, like I said, I don't even know if I feel comfortable really saying rest in peace to him, because I feel like he tried. I ain't no feel like he did, man. He tried to murder them people, man, and then you was taking it out on innocent people that ain't had nothing to do with the situation that was going on, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't know who you could have killed. I'm just glad he ain't hit that freaking them canisters and that gas over there, man. Because that would have blew the F up. It would have blew the F up. And the first one, we started off hot, y'all, with the lady. This lady here, man, I feel like she Like, I ain't even finna go back deep into this one because we already went deep into it. There's a lot of different talking points on this one, but I will just like to point out, number one, I feel like she did get to the point at some point where she knew she was gonna be caught. Number two, it's so crazy that you lived in the house all them years with dead freaking bodies. Number three, they was your freaking parents. Number four, your parents were 70 something years old. You know what I'm saying, man? They are literally senior citizens out here, and you end up doing that to them. And what number I am on? I think I'm on number 5. Number 5, I'm happy ass got life. Long story short story long, y'all. And I digress. I'm gonna go let y'all go, man. I appreciate y'all coming on back as always. And before y'all leave, just please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.